back in action. Fairwestwork on a Saturday, August 16th. So I went to the Land Use Planning and Zoning subcommittee uh, meeting via Zoom, made my public comment regarding safe outdoor space amendments that were coming through. It did not get approved, the changes. Um, so, well, uh, we'll just have to carry on looking at the existing rules or thinking outside the box and not calling it a safe outdoor space, but aligning in some fashion in that spirit while also navigating the legal landscape that is the city. All right, so what did I say for the public comments? I changed it a little bit, just for my own notes. I'll read it out loud. Hi everyone, my name is Nicholas Hamill. I'm a registered nurse and president of the Fair West Neighborhood Association. Fair West is a neighborhood within the International District and within District 6. I'd like to voice support for the proposed amendments to O2589 and O2590. I'm part of a growing group of neighbors collaborating to create more small, community-supported, safe outdoor spaces. We believe they can be valuable additions to our communities by creating more places for stability, connection, and hope. The proposed changes to relax some of the financial and administrative burdens required to open and operate small, safe outdoor spaces would be beneficial to our efforts. In the future, we look forward to applying for operating permits and working with the city to improve living conditions for our neighbors, with our neighbors. Thank you for your time. So that's what I said. There are a bunch of people who spoke out in support of making these changes. A lot of people from the International District area, which I think makes sense. Almost makes me wonder if they could introduce an ordinance and have it only apply within. No, I don't know. That would be discriminatory. I don't know how the I don't know how the future legislative stuff will go. Um, so I tend to think I'll put less effort into um, hoping for a change there. Some, but more so just working within the existing structure of, okay, there are safe outdoor spaces that are available. There are apartments that are available, halfway houses. What amongst those options can we implement ASAP? Um, Thinking about the safe outdoor space over on Cochity, the financing of it, I'll just stay in the finance realm for now. I think it would be around 2,000 just for leasing every month a property. Let's call it a property that can house 10. I think that's a I would maybe even five to start. Um, Five designated camping areas, potentially up to 10 people if you allow couples. Um, Small is a good way to start, but that anyway. Pricing wise, 2,000 a month, just for the rent. Insurance, I don't know. I'm gonna talk to Jesse of New Creation Church when I get back about see if he'll just tell me what their insurance is like and see if maybe they I don't know see if they want to help me or I'll call their insurance people. We'll see. We'll talk about how to implement this thing. Um, I know they got some public or private donations when they were starting their endeavor. Um, Maybe I can talk to those people too, or they know other people, or maybe we can crowdsource some money. To I think the numbers I've heard, without getting into it too, I don't have the detailed breakdown, but cost to run this thing per year for um, on the city has been told that by potential operators that they think that potential operators say we think this that the very very bare minimum that we could do this for is 150,000 a year. Huh. So that's an interesting number. Part of me wants to say that's overinflated, but it depends on how you're trying to implement this thing. Um, if you're trying if you have to pay everybody, that adds up really quick. Um, Insurance, I'm not sure what that'll be. Rent and leasing, property, you know. In this situation, if we were able to pay $2,000 a month, $24,000 a year to lease, if that's accurate, okay, that gives us, if we want to, let's say we want to aim for 100,000 instead of 150. We got 75,000 with which we need to cover insurance, and we need to cover security, and we need to be able to have money to pay some staff, pay for utilities, water, electricity, gas. We have to have social services available. We can do those offsite, I believe, and some on-site. I don't think we should have to pay for that. We can probably find existing nonprofits who want to get in on that. I think New Mexico Harm Reduction, Ashley, their director, has expressed some interest in talking about that. Um, awesome. That's one potential service provider. Maybe the only one we'll have. Maybe a collection of people will be able to come through. Maybe we'll just, start with one, and if it's going well, great. And if it's not, then we'll go to another provider and we'll try some other people. So if someone is coming in for, if a client comes in, is staying there, I think that's the terminology we use. Community member, maybe that would be nicer. I don't. I think that's one of the things that we can bring to this, not make it feel so clinical, not make it feel so sterile. Um, I'm not a I'm not on the religious side of things, but I do agree with the community aspects of supporting each other. So I don't know. I think whatever you call them, I think the spirit of it is to like really try to make sure that the people stay in there. If they are doing well on their own, just not really taking too much from outside services, cool. Um, this is a, it has to be a temporary space. These safe outdoor spaces, I think we get 2, and we can extend up to 5 years, something like that, maybe 4 years. That's a good amount of time. Like, that means we don't have to rush too much, but we do have to have check-ins. And we do need to have a criteria of getting people. I think the bar is like, are you willing to come? And I think that's a great first step. Not having a super steep bar where it's like, you come here and we're going to radically transform your life. Um, that's the goal. I just want to do the slow burn on it. um, so as to That's a form of outreach, I think, to take in low percentage, if you will, for recovery clients. Um, Not exclusively, but to blend them in more. So I think that I would like to try and codify that within, if we do safe outdoor space, within the um, sort of like ethos or the practices that we do. Like over on Coachity, walking the street, um, talking to people pretty regularly, as we're probably, I get the impression that like one of the city council members, man, I'll go off on this tangent, Dan Champagne, I don't know, who voted against the amendments, um, seemed a bit hostile to, I don't know, something. I don't know how to pinpoint the hostility, but there's like an intensity there that's interesting. Um, and anyway, he was at one point saying, that there was a reduction proposed of 660 feet to 330 feet of like some sort of, I don't know what the language in the ordinance said exactly, but like sphere of responsibility, of influence, of doing outreach, I believe, and community interaction. So it reduced it from 2 blocks to 1 block. And he was saying, so you're not going to be out there. You're not going to be like, you're not going to, you have one less block that you have to be responsible for. Like, why are we doing that? Why are we lowering the bar? Why are we blah, blah. I don't know. Things that, um, whatever, make me think like it is important how you show up, not just in probably this space to do outreach to, you have to do outreach, I think, to the community. That's indoors as well. Staying in good contact with them, I think, is extremely important towards the ability to open up more of those. Um, Not to say that it's not happening, just to make sure that um, that's actually happening. So, um, anyway, being able to do like going out, picking up trash, doing community outreach with people who are staying in there, inside in tents, or also, can we get some RVs? Like maybe we get some like cheap trailers. We're allowed to do that and actually have like some more fortified shelters. We might be able to get some inexpensive trailers. Maybe not a ton of them, but maybe like we'll start with one. That could be interesting. Other financial considerations, security that was brought up by, I think his name's Gillian of Quirky Books, that if they hired a minimum wage individual for 24/7, or minimum, if they paid minimum wage 24/7, that's over 100,000 a year. Um, I haven't done the math, but that sounds right. And what my thought is, well, don't do that. Like, create another security. Like, I don't know what sort of how they have to like verify security, but we'll see when I apply. But you don't have to hire someone, do you? Just have security. Um, you can't charge the people who stay in there, but can you assign them jobs? Your own security. This is your shift. What does security mean? It means you're around the premise, you're staying engaged, you're not sleeping, you're available, uh, that you are trained on how to escalate communication to us, because there's a responsibility. We're the landlord. If you're running into an issue of like safety on site, give me a call, give me a text, like, or whoever's doing the management. Maybe we can get that in there as the security, and like we don't have to pay IPS or something, right? Like that would be surprising. I'll talk to Jesse about what he does for his security um, requirements there. The fencing, that is a big expense. In the case of what I'm looking at, they already have fencing. We have to put up some opaque screening. Um, okay, cool. Uh, that'll be, that might already be in process. I have to speak with Barbara. Um, so, other thoughts about financing. I do want to be able to pay people. I do want to get it paid myself. As far as what to get paid, I'd like to pay. I think there needs to be a spectrum. I think livable wage is great per hour. Um, but also, I think there are times when it's useful to just have like, um, so there's some like, I think, oof, rambling. Um, People who are staying there who are um, working, who are living there, they have a different access to the jobs. I think we can get them on a schedule, um, and then pay them in the $25 per hour range. And we're not going to have a lot of hours, but that's what they're going to get per hour. Um, yeah. What are some of those jobs? Those jobs could be going out and doing outreach with us, walking around and not saying like come join it, but just like telling people how it's going, um, like talking about getting questions and answers from people out there or feedback. Like if somebody's out there and they're like, "Well, I want to get in," and we're like, "Well, sorry, we're all booked up." They're like, "Oh, well, fuck you," or they wouldn't say that. I don't think. Um, I think they would just be disappointed. Um, I don't know why I go to fuck you. Like that's such a ridiculous like even if they said that, it would be a joke. Um, they might be like I can imagine people being mad though. I don't know. Having been a bedside nurse, I've seen mad in reaction to things and how it doesn't always necessarily go to where it needs to go. Just mad comes out. So, all right. What else? I'd like to be able to, as part of outreach, if people want to join in and help us, like when we're out doing picking up trash or needles or putting maybe even doing some uh, composting toilets work, um, and swapping out buckets if we're gonna do that within the block. Like, fuck it. I don't need to tell the city that, but if that happens, I mean, the problem is there are departments like code enforcement being a good example, where you see that for reasons that are beyond probably any single, well, there's probably no single reason. It's a lot of different people involved in the department, a lot of potential, a lot of properties that go unnoticed, a lot of properties, or maybe not a lot, at least some properties that I think get noticed um, inappropriately, that are trying to improve the living conditions in the city. Um, but like, you gotta follow the rules, and trying to find the boundaries of the rules just because I think it should be fine on like basically an ethical reasoning. um, that ain't how the government, uh, that department is responding. So, um, code enforcement will have to be friends. We'll have to be like cooperative. Obviously, I don't want to get shut down. Um, that would be a huge impediment. So trying to be upfront with them and trying to engage with them as opposed to sort of like do it on the DL is how I'll try and go about it for now. And if that proves untenable, then I'll stop making public facing videos. Yeah. But I imagine some things will get up off the ground. It's like what neighbor Paul says, be nice. So if I have these feuds for whatever reason with individuals or with departments or municipalities, that will do nothing to help. So I'm going to try real hard to be nice. and to just work within the boundaries. I just have to get a little bit more creative and a little bit, and just remain persistent in talking to people who say, no, no, that won't work. No, no, that's not appropriate. Well, I'm just exploring the boundaries within the boundaries, right? Seems like a lot of people disagree on what the boundaries are. And so, um, I think I'm trying to not, I don't think I'll do it without mistakes, but learn from what I've heard within the area about people who have had run-ins and problems and roadblocks imposed by code enforcement, um, and maybe planning and or zoning or whatever as a whole. Um, but like it's just that's the bureaucracy of it. Like that's just is what it is. That will continue. There's no foreseeable change in that kind of enforcement going away. I think enforcement's already pretty lax. Um, there are not that many code enforcement guys for all the city, but they do have a way of keeping their eyes on certain properties. Uh, so don't get in their crosshairs. Don't publish videos on the internet about how you don't want to get in their crosshairs. Whatever. Nobody watches. If anybody watches, that's hilarious. That'll be the future. Yeah. Manifested. Um, all right, enough of my conspiracy theory-ing. Back to finances. How much money do I have towards this right now? My money, I guess. My money. How much? Ooh, we're talking in the tens of thousands, in the low tens. You gotta you gotta put in, right? So uh, once once that commitment happens, I'm essentially looking to get a return on my investment. So if I put in $20,000, um, I want to create something in which I can get paid for my time. Um, what's a payment for my time? I think $30 an hour. I'm gonna try and create the range within in the group of 25 to 30 an hour for everybody. Um, the big difference will be um, in how much time you can bill for. I'll bill for more like, I don't know how many hours, but some number of hours. I'd like to say 20 a week, but it might be closer to 12. That might be the real number. Um, because I don't want um, I don't think that I don't think I actually am exclusively trained on this. I think we need to keep the costs low, and I think that's what I feel comfortable billing for. What does that turn into? Uh, I wish I would. Let's see. I'll try and make Paul proud. 25 times 20, $500 per week. Oh, but I said 12. Darn. So 250 and then another 300. Okay. $25 per hour, 12 hours. $1,200 a month. Why do I think that's enough? It's complicated, but I do. And so we'll see. We'll start there. So that would put, let's say we have, do some quick math, 2,000 For rent, I don't even have any idea how to guess insurance, so I'll just put question insurance. Uh, Food, I think we can get that at cost. Or at cost. We can get donations. I think we can get a lot of donations, and then a lot of people who have the ability to stock their own stuff. Like you get food stamps, or you get enough money from the job that we pay you for, which brings me to the job. So workers, I know labor, I know terms, labor. So let's say we've got 5 people working 4 hours at 25 an hour. That's 20 times 25. That's 500. So that would be 500 per week for 5 employees working 4 hour. Oh wait, that's 500 per day. I don't know how we would do that. I'm I'm mixing things up. So if they only worked 4 hours during the entire week, which actually seems kind of reasonable to start with, that'd be 500 per week. All right. So, and then me, I would get 12 hours times, uh, well, one of me, to stick with the above, 12 hours at $30. Oh, I'm telling myself $30, yeah. 360 per week. Look at that, I just gave myself a raise for 12 hour. Monthly labor cost then. I'm actually pretty sure there would be other labor, but I'll do that in a minute. Would be 2,000 for that times 360 times 4. It's 1,200 plus 240, 1,440. Might be a little off, but I don't fucking care. We've got roughly 3,500 in labor per month. And then let's call incidental outreach labor 400 per month. What's that $400? That is when we're doing, I think, outreach efforts and somebody helps us out. We're picking up needles and they say, hey, I just went and like swept up this corner. I got all this stuff, put it in the box, followed the rules, and we're like, cool, thanks. Here's whatever. We'll have some like fives on us. Yeah, I think that would be important. Utilities. Oh man, I don't know. It would only be like 1 or 2 bathrooms. A lot of showers though. So our water would probably be on the higher side. If we get the building, then we have slightly bigger expenses. Anyway, I'm gonna say to go on the high side, 700 per month for utilities. And that's assuming that basically like we use a fair bit of water, but I don't know how expensive that gets, how quickly. I don't know if commercial rates are any different, because I think or I don't know what that is. Electricity, some. We'll definitely use some. And if we have the building, we'll have to pay the building's electricity. Um, And then we have the building, so we'll probably use it incrementally, slowly, in pieces, somehow. Yeah, it's there. Like if we can open a bathroom to it, um, that'd be real nice. Um, I don't know. They might make us do something weird, like put a outside door on it or something. Anyway, we'll have to deal with that as we deal with it. Um, we might only open those bathrooms like during the day, and then at night we have to have like outside composting toilet. Yeah. Hmm. All right. What other expenses am I not thinking about? I'm sure there are big ones, which will embarrass me later. But just for now, on a monthly basis, we've got, now I will use a calculator, 2,000 plus labor of 3,500 plus 400 for incidental outreach plus 700 for utilities. That's 6,600 per month times 12. That's $79,000. 79,200 per year. Huh. Let's put a 20%, no, 20. Let's also say that, all right, let's call it 80,000. Let's so 80,000 per year to operate right now. Here's another expense that I didn't expect, but I think might be an interesting way to do this. I think I saw a church in Nob Hill finance their solar panels this way, which is essentially like you invest money in blocks and then you get a return on your investment. Um, I guess, or maybe, and I think in this case there would be no return. There would be social capital return. This is a donation, so we're looking for $80,000 in donations. Um, is that right? I don't know, because I was trying to think of my money that I'm putting in as investment, but um, I would prefer not to have to pay back debts, not to myself. Um, so, and as a show of like community support, we're trying to crowdsource it, I think. So, yeah, trying to raise commitments for $80,000 for the estimate of 1 year of operation. Um, and I realize that's still low. Like that's not the final number. I'm just using that as a placeholder for, let's say we need to put on. I guess I was hesitant to say this, but let's say we need to put on another 20% for what we're not accounting for. Then it jumps up to $95,000. We are closer to the 100K mark. Starting to see why the city was told by the operators like uh, it's gonna cost like $150,000. Uh, I'm and that still seems, wow, that's hard to, that still seems shoestring. Not sure what how Pastor Joanne finances the Compassion Center. Um, I think it's a really interesting patchwork of things that I don't know. I haven't gone up to her and been like, "What's your secret?" Or like, "Show me your books." But I think I have asked a bit about how things came together, how she got a trailer. on site. And when I say trailer, it's like one of those um, trailers next to a public school. Because I think she actually got the trailer, or two of them, from decommissioned trailers from Albuquerque Public Schools, courtesy of Help or Making It Happen by Pat Davis. Um, the property that she has access to, I don't know the ownership of that. She, nor do I know ownership of like that church property she has across the street. But like, she's deeply connected to that neighborhood, and it comes through. It shows. It's not like it's not like she's coming from the other side of town every day. So that's um I actually am almost hesitant to go to Cochiti because it seems a little far. It's like kind of outside, but it's pretty close. Um, but that's probably the max distance I would want to try and go at first, because this is such an experiment. It feels like an experiment in terms of like how it's going to be received, challenges of running it, how time consuming it'll be. Not billable hours necessarily, just um, how much it can grow into a self-sustaining community, which I think is it's a temporary community with those limits of, well, one, if we if it runs 1 year and then we don't raise funds again the next year, then radical changes need to be imposed. Um, I think the goal would be to make it self-sustaining within the year. Um, Progress towards being more self-sustaining. So I think it would be the second year we would want to ask for a lot less. Um, and so actually, like, that's what I want. I would like this to be a place where people can start like earning money. Um, or maybe they don't even earn that much money, but like being engaged in the conversation of what they want from their community moving forward over the year, and seeing if we want to try and extend the length of stay available to 2 or 4 years. Because I think, sometimes the idea might be, oh, get somebody in, get them connected, and get them out of there real fast. And that might happen. But I think there will be a section of people, a subset of people who will want to stay longer. And cool. And if you get a few people cycling through who move on to other viable, or like, hopefully if they want to leave, they're moving on to like greater independence, um, or whatever their situation is. Um, yeah, moving into something that seems like it's still serving them well, I guess, would be the most neutral way I can think of putting it. Um, we might accrue more and more people who are like, yeah, this is good to stay here for a little while. Um, and so we can have conversations of, okay, how do we plan a little bit longer? We'd stay here sort of indefinitely, but we need to make a plan for year two, because at the end of year one, we'll have some changes, and maybe it's time to change. Maybe it's time to reformat things like 4 hours a week, for example, to be paid only 4 hours a week. Um, it's not enough. It's a starting point, but it's just like you need to be able to earn more money, um, right? Like we all know that. It's just if you're trying to afford a place to live, um, and all the essentials. What's the low end? It depends on what your housing costs are. I think that's to be determined while people are at the outdoor space. We can talk to surrounding landlords and who have apartments or people who have rooms to rent or houses to rent and figure out like, oh, what could you rent for? Let's low end maybe 600 a month. 600 would be pretty low, but achievable. You know, what are their income streams once they've had a place where they can hopefully get all of their papers organized if they haven't already applied for things like Social Security, if they qualify, taking advantage of that, um, having a mailing address. I'd like to have access. I'd like to make sure that we have, if I think from what I've seen at the Compassion Center, if you want a phone, you'll get a phone. But also just check in with them at first and seeing like, oh, do you have a phone? Let's try and help you get like access to a phone again, and whether it's just a phone that we have. Like, you want to make a call right now? Here, borrow my cell phone. Um, and then over time, you know, I kind of like will leave it up to the individuals, and I'll tell them like, if you want help getting a phone, let me know. If you want to find it on your own, it's cool. For now, like here's this phone that you can borrow. Um, who would do the onboarding? Gotta have some like staff on site. Um, so yeah, that's definitely something I did not account for. Like, I think I can get a lot of volunteers, but that will require a fair bit of involvement from me. I will be looking for someone who might want to volunteer to get trained to be there independently of me. I do need that. I need multiples of that, actually. People who would be comfortable, like being in a, um, I don't know, being available to be called. Or it would be something like I would make a group on some sort of like group text messaging, and we would train individuals who are doing security, and that the security is all volunteer. I think we need to account for 24/7 coverage, but it'll be all volunteer. Um, so that'll be like we'll also need checks on it, so I think we'll need supervisor, and right now that's going to be volunteer too. That supervisor role is not as full time. That can be like spot checks. Like you want to go, if you wake up at 4 in the morning and you're like, I want to go drive down Cochity and stop and like um, buzz the little alarm or whatever to like indicate that someone's outside wanting to get in, and at 4 a.m., I imagine we just wouldn't answer. That would be really weird if someone was trying to get in at 4 a.m. Um, and so what should happen then is like you should get a text message. Be like, hey, somebody's outside and they're trying to get in. And you're like, cool, it's me. Just testing our security. All good? And hopefully they'd be like, yeah, all good. And that's it. And we'd have to like keep a log to demonstrate that we do that. Um, and so I don't know. That probably requires me to. It's not like the city would say no. It's more like the insurance company would say no. I'm guessing. I don't know. Gotta talk to Jesse about what his insurance tells him. I don't really know anything about insurance. Like, yeah, that'll be interesting. I I do think it would be. Uh, of real use if the city could offer an insurance policy for these things that would then allow us to. No, I don't know. Whatever. I'm not going to say that. Um, because I have no idea. All right, so I talked about how I'm not going to pay anybody anything except for myself. Fuck. Um, how we're trying to keep operating budget in the like, I'll just say the top end number I had, which was about $100,000. Um, that's first year operating. Uh, During that first year, the goal would be to one, bring in people at first. Um, Try it out first, see how it's going. Start with, but before we can bring in anybody, we do have to have a team of volunteers. Um, I need to get a team of volunteers um, who are willing to put in time and like actually be like, okay, this is a commitment. I will work really hard to keep this commitment. Um, and we schedule it out in advance. Schedule out, maybe we ask for um, a 3-month commitment at first for the volunteers. Um, and if people have things in their schedule where they're like, oh, I'm going to be out of town, blah blah blah, we just go through all that scheduling and just try and like fill the gaps, and that'll be part of what I do and why I'm asking for money. Those kind of like administrative tasks that need to be done. And then kind of like in the last month of the 3-month commitment, um, in the last month, I'll try and set up for the subsequent 3 months. Um, yeah, because it's a fair bit of work, and so I want to try and strike a balance between the admin overhead of doing that on both me and people having to like actually commit 3 months out. I imagine things will come up, people fall through the cracks. I'll try, or fall through the cracks. Parts of the schedule will be uncovered, will be lacking coverage, and then I'll have maybe a list of people who would be willing to be notified, like kind of last minute, like, hey, I need coverage the next day, who like actually have the potential to do that. Um, and nobody in that backup list has to. Like, you don't have to maintain any percentage, but it would just be like if we're lacking coverage, um, and it doesn't annoy you to just see our needs, and like if you can't cover it, no problem. But if you wouldn't mind asking like someone who might have time, and be like, hey, are you interested in this? This is what this is. Put them in, like, bringing in more volunteers to a certain degree could be beneficial. I don't know. We'll see. I think I'll try and have like if we find that in the beginning, if I can't like just through word of mouth that I do in person, come up with a big enough list of volunteers to at first, then no, you just have to have like you have to have the coverage. So before anyone can actually come in, we have to be able to do volunteers for 24/7 coverage, a group of which over time we'll transition to the residents, but at first it'll be outsiders, non-residents. Um, they'll be able to um, like join the board, I guess, of the community, which at first will just the board will be anybody who volunteers. Um, that'll be the operating board. I guess the board will meet, once a month, kind of thing. Make it available. If you can't make it, whatever. It's just one of those meetings where like we'll take notes and then we'll publish those. That's actually required to be a safe outdoor space. You have to like have these community meetings. So community can come sit in and it can also just be board members. Hopefully all those board members will be from the community. It will just be like, yeah, I live down the street. That's why this matters. Um, I don't necessarily expect a lot of people from outside to come on over, but maybe if you got interest and you're in Fair West and you want to go to South San Pedro um, on a somewhat regular basis, let me know. Let's talk. Apparently, I'm making a list and checking it twice. I don't even know what it would break down to. I think 4-hour shifts for security are on the long side. I think I'd like to offer 2-hour chunks. If somebody wants to do as little as 2 hours, that's fine. And if they want to do more, that's also fine. If they want to come for 4, 6, 8 hours, anywhere between 2 and 8 hours, I think would be fine. 1 hour, we'll see. If a lot of people ask for that, then I'll put it in. I don't have anyone asking for anything. All right, so we'll see how many people that shakes down to. I think there needs to be on-site outreach available. It sounds like I got a name written down of a guy who organizes that effort over at the refuge, which I think is what New Creation calls their safe outdoor space. So hope to get some more information about that. I don't think that is an expense. Is that a source of income? Is there? I don't know. That's interesting. Um, I do think there is real potential in trying to have income by having the people staying there who you're not allowed to charge, um, um, trying to create a business in which we pay them to manage a small network that runs a couple public-facing composting toilets and it picks up trash on the street. It's like the little ambassador. I say little, I don't mean little. It's like the ambassador, Nowpill ambassadors or something. There are people who walk around and pick up trash and like, I think talk about, I don't know. I've never chatted with one, but I've seen them like um, I've seen them. I imagine if next time I see one, I'll strike up a conversation. I've never thought to talk to the guys in the like colorful shirts and polos who are picking up the trash, but I got some questions. Like I've heard that it's a program that the city has funded, maybe through a grant that is operating with clientele from the West Side shelter. I'm not entirely sure if that's true. But if so, cool. Maybe we can do something like that at, at Coachity. That'd be cool. You don't have to bus anybody around. You can just go walk outside. Cool. It's in the same spirit, I think. Um, I can imagine though that like that's a maybe a weird transition. Maybe you don't want to. Maybe we'll see if that actually is a viable um, mm, path. Like if people, I don't know. Like I don't know if someone would want to, let's say, be hanging out on Coachity and then come into the safe outdoor space and sort of transition into this new community directly on top of what very well is or could be a community right outside. And that might be a difficult, or I think that will be um, part of the process, right? Like I don't, it just demonstrates how deeply I don't know and haven't gone on that sort of recovery path. And so at a certain, stage, trying to also check in with places like Endorphin Power Company and State of the Heart Recovery and other local recovery services um, for those individuals who are like probably like still in an area where there's a lot of um, there's that old community connection. I don't know. I don't know if I'm speaking completely out of turn, but I think if you're trying to gain sobriety and you're around people who you know who are not sober and you like them, they're your friends, um, you feel comfortable around them. You got to have another place to feel comfortable, and then there's going to be there is a divide, right? A little bit. Um, I don't know. I'm not religious, I don't think. And so in the sense of it's like someone finding, but this effort would be kind of like bringing people into a new community, trying to establish new community, and not just sort of a sterile environment of like trying to make it feel mm, flexible and familial, I suppose. Um, that might be a little creepy. I don't know, but I think I've seen sterile environments like hospital psych wards, um, which uh, is a different clientele, but also that feeling of like for some individuals who I think do not belong, certainly not long term. No one. I mean, it's we're talking about psychiatric hospital changes, right? And so I guess a lot of, oh man, I'm going off on a ramble. We'll see. Um, I won't go down that tangent, down that path. I think it's great to have outdoor options. I think it's nice in a lot of ways to be outdoors. I think shelter obviously is also important, and so um, is a big improvement over somebody who might otherwise, when they're housed inside, be in a hospital or a jail or in a psych ward. And so, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't mean to assume too much about who the clientele will be, but it's an interesting question. Which kind of, what's your criteria? What is my criteria for who will come in and what the commitment promises are? Um, I'm looking forward to seeing the submission, the application for New Creations Refuge, to see if that's outlined in theirs, because these feel like important questions that I feel like I can have long conversations about, and that I struggle to distill into meaningful mission statements, or um, but along the lines of, there's a example in my head. There are two people currently, I've been out of Albuquerque for a minute, but last time, about a month ago, I had regularly been seeing a couple staying in the park during the days with hanging out with their dog, and we would chat pretty regularly. I had previously met them when they were camped out over by Smith's a couple of months ago, and we chatted then a little bit about just getting to know each other. And then I told them that I'm a nurse and I work in public health area. I've done some volunteering at the harm reduction. Let them know, or asked them if they knew what the harm reduction was. Um, Found out they know about state of the heart. That they go there, they receive treatment. Um, I think, if I understand correctly, they are not taking advantage of State of the Heart's housing option for a couple of reasons. I don't think they were clean enough. You have to do a urine analysis, drug screen, and they they would show up as positive for substances, or um, that would preclude them from getting into that housing program. Um, and also, I think them being a couple, I don't think State of the Heart houses couples together. I did ask the outreach director, and he said they're not together, but they can be, like, they try and take that into account and put them in like the same apartment complex or nearby, close by. So I mean, they're trying, but yeah, you don't get to stay in the same room. Um, so, and I don't know a lot about their housing. I don't know what other rules are imposed, but anyway, they weren't in that housing. There is extra, outside of just methadone, um, illicit drug. There is, well, methadone is not illicit, but there is illicit drug use that precludes them from some housing options. They have a dog as well. Um, they we've talked to them. I've been told them about safe outdoor spaces. I've mentioned to them the Compassion Center that they know about. They commented on the showers over there that are available. I'm not sure where they're sleeping, or they were sleeping. Their Smith's tent was taken down a while ago. They don't sleep in the park, as far as I can tell. I mean, they doze during the day. They don't set up a tent. Um, yeah, I'm not sure where they're going. Um, and I know the woman has been going to court to clear up some things. Uh, the guy seems to stay and keep watch on their stuff when she's doing it. He reads fair bit. We haven't talked too much about what he's reading, but he's real passionate. He's got a lot to say. Um, I mean, he is also still using meth, but like he's a nice guy in a lot of ways. Um, there's I don't I don't know. Maybe that's a stupid thing to say. I think he's got a lot of potential to improve his living condition, improve the living condition for what seems to be his long-term partner, and I believe either they or she has a child, or maybe it's his kid that you know I don't think they have contact anymore. I think for a little while they've been really disconnected, and all the sort of shame that comes along with that. Uh, it showed up pretty quickly when they brought up that family connection. You know, so if they had a place where they started to stabilize, and they started to get some momentum of kind of like slowing down for a second, having a place to slow down, I think that could open up a lot of possibilities. And you can't stay in that slowed down state forever, right? You gotta like be propelled. That's where the on-site outreach I think is important too. You know, having breakfasts together, and if somebody's not there, it's like I don't know. That's not a problem, but like, is that because just checking in on them? Do we never see them? If we don't see them, like find them if they're sleeping there. Um, so kind of like compassion center, I think you got rules. The rules are like you got to be back, like you got to sleep here, and you got to stick to some curfews. And if you don't, then like so those kind of operating rules I think are important. Um, you got to have some standards that someone gets to know in the beginning. Like I'm not gonna surprise you with it. Um, something something to live like a little bit of structure. Um, and if depending, right? Like we can make exceptions. Like if you're working late, okay, um, cool. Um, maybe it depends, right? Depends on the job. Uh, if it seems like you're working in a way that is illegal, well, let's have a conversation about that. You know, like, are you not making enough money? Um, like by coming in, if they make only uh, $4 or 4 hours a week, if they only make $100 a week, I get it. That's like not that's not enough to live on. And so at first, like, but let's take into account how much money do you need? You need money for food. Um, well, at first, and I know this is a bit drastic, but like there's food here. You can eat whatever you want outside, but you don't need any money for food actually, because all the food will be available there. And if you need outside specific foods, then we'll try and figure that out. Try and work with us, like keep the costs down. And also, if we can't get it sometimes, um, that can be frustrating. We need to like not make promises we can't keep. So on a best effort, we'll try and cater to needs like we'll have vegetarian options, Might be able to do gluten-free options, you know. I think it'll be interesting. Like, where do you cook? Safe outdoor space. I mean, you can do barbecues and stuff, but um, I think it'd be great if we have the building as well to be able to use the kitchen. Maybe just the kitchen. Like, not we're not sleeping inside yet. Um, for that the space is not ready, but I think there's kitchen available in there, and that would really open up a lot of possibilities. Um, da, 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 da. All right, it's getting away from me. This is a long ramble. I'll end it here. Coming back soon, looking for 100K.